Well, hello there. I'm back with a new multiplayer tutorial series for Unreal Engine 5. What you see here is what we will be creating from scratch. I debated whether we should use the EIK example project as a base or start fresh without any common UI plugin, and I decided to start new. Of course, our project won't have the assets you see here. It will be bare since I'm not a 3D artist and can't create those assets. But it's not about the assets. It's about game design and how everything functions. The main focus will be on replication and creating functioning multiplayer game. For that, we will again be using the EIK plugin to integrate free Epic online services for multiplayer functionality, matchmaking, and other features. EIK is an open source plugin. You can buy it from the FAB Marketplace or use the free open source version from GitHub. A lot of work went into making these tutorial videos, so a like would be appreciated. And I have a page on Ko-fi if willing to support me in this series. I would also like to hear your thoughts. Will you follow this series? What questions do you have? I'm always ready to answer, and any input helps improve the content. Now let's go to the part where I create a new project and set it up. So, let's create our project. Let's use the third-person template. I'll be using Engine 5.3. But feel free to use whatever engine you prefer. Let's not add starter content. You can enable ray tracing if your hardware is capable of it. Choose your desired project location and name it as you wish, or use the same name as I do. First, we need to set up the plugins we'll be using. For the loading screen, we'll use the Async Loading Screen plugin. For now, I won't enable it. We do it at later time. For my personal productivity, I'll enable Blueprint Assist and electronic nodes. If you don't have them, you don't need them, but they are great for productivity, and I really like them. I'm accustomed to using them over general nodes. Some people prefer flat nodes, but I prefer electronic nodes. Blueprint Assist really helps with formatting blueprints. Once again, you don't need to have these to follow along. They're just cosmetic for Unreal Engine Editor. We'll also use this custom input mode game-only plugin, because I found one bug that was annoying and this fixes it. But we'll implement it when we need it. Additionally, we'll need the EOS integration kit for our multiplayer assistance in integrating EOS into our project. This is must-have as it's at core of this tutorial series. There are two ways to acquire this. One is to buy it off the marketplace. I think it's $55. This will support the creators of the plugin. And since I'm also part of the Betide Studio team, it will support me as well. Alternatively, you can get the open source version, but you'll have to build it yourself. You can read the documentation on how to do this. I also made a video on how to build it from source, so you can obtain it for free if you want. However, supporting and buying is the best option as you also get premium support at our Discord. So you can either buy from the marketplace or compile your own and add it to the plugin folder in project directory. I think that's it. One day, we will also use Steam to integrate with Steam Launcher, but for now, we will use the EOS integration kit because I'm more accustomed to it and have more experience with it. Later on, when we have a functioning project with EOS, we can simply change some nodes to make it Steam compatible. Okay, so now restart your project as I think we're done with plugins. Now after project restart, we need to go to project settings to do some configuration. First, we need to automatically set up EIK, which will require another restart. Now that we're back, it should be set up. If you don't have your organization, go to dev.epicgames.com and create one. I think it's a pretty straightforward process. You might need to go into agreements and accept everything there. Once you have your organization set up and everything is accepted, you can create your product. This should be the title of the product. It will take a minute or so to create. Now, when it's created, go to Product Settings and then to Clients. First of all, we need to add a new policy, so we will be using Custom P2P policy. Select the policies that are available. For development purposes, it's better to have all of them enabled to ensure everything is working, and then disable the things we don't need users to do. Now create a client and select our created policy. Those fields can be ignored. Now we have our client. Next, go to the SDK and Credentials section. We need to create an application. For brand setting, we don't do any changes. I will make video about how to approve your brand. For permissions, just select online presence and friends. Leave country option disabled. Don't forget to save changes. In linked clients, select our created client. Now we need to fill in all these details in EIK plugin settings. Just copy-paste selected values to same name fields in EIK settings. Those are in Artifact Settings tab. We will rename default name to client. Paste product ID, and for artifact name use client also. Select the client ID and paste to the client ID. Select the client secret and paste to client secret. Do same for live sandbox ID. And for live deployment ID. For some reason, it created just a live deployment for me. Usually, it should create both a dev deployment and a stage deployment, so you might see 3 deployment options here. Make sure you are using the ID for the same one. Artifact is set up. This is values EIK plugin will be using to connect and manage EOS sessions. We can also add the organization if we want to launch dashboard from the launcher. For organization name, use part of link with your organization name. Do same for project name. I think we have configured everything here. If we open the dev portal, it should open my Tile World project. Seems to be working. Another thing I personally do, as I don't like items opening in a new window, go to Editor Preferences and search for Open and change the option to open in the main window. Also go back to Editor Preferences and in Play for additional launch parameters add -log. This command will launch standalone with additional window where we will see engine logs. Now we will do some project files restructuring. First go to Content folder and create Blueprints folder. I've developed a habit of coloring folders so they stand out with the color of their contents. I color Blueprints in blue. Here, in Blueprints folder, we will have a core folder for our core classes, which will include our third-person character. Move third-person character to core folder. We could do same for game mode. Press OK for warning. This game mode is used as the default game mode for the entire project, so it is set as a value in the default engine.ini configuration. Anytime you move something, make sure to fix up redirectors, as it can break your project references to files that were moved. Open third-person character. This will be a tile character, so we don't need this mesh. Also, set the animation class to none, as we will be deleting this character and all assets that come with it. Now delete the characters folder, as we will create our own tile character later on, and this will just take up project space. Unreal usually takes a long time to delete files. Also, Unreal, for some reason, always leaves some mannequin files behind. So right-click and select Show in Explorer to delete them manually. Level prototyping consists of assets used for the third-person level. I like to gray out this folder and forget it exists until I create my own level with my own assets. Move Input folder to Content folder. Now move Maps folder to Content folder. This or other things we do with this map broke my project, but I will show the fix at the end. Now we can delete the third-person folder, as we have restructured the files in it. We will be adding more as we develop our project, but right now we just want that initial project structure set. Create new level, as we can't rename one we have open. Now double-click it to open. We will still see lingering mannequin files that Unreal thinks exist. Just deselect those and save the empty map. Now we can rename our main map. It will serve a dual purpose as the starting map for our game, where we log in the player and display the main menu. I will name it Staging, as could not come up with better name. We get same warning message. We will fix it. Now open Staging map and can delete empty map and third-person build. Go to Project Settings once more, and in Maps and Modes set our Staging map as default editor map and default game map. We can keep default game mode as none. We will start developing our content in the next videos. For now, we have set up the EIK and restructured the project. Now close the Unreal editor and try to open the project. If it crashes, no worries, I have a fix. To fix the project crashing, go to the project folder, then to Config, and open defaultengine.ini. Here, for the editor startup map, set it to the staging map as you see here. Do the same for the game default map. Unreal Engine, at least for me, still had the third-person map that we renamed. I also noticed that some leftover files are still there. It's not much, but it's better to clean up. Just make sure to not delete staging folder. And this is why my project crashed at open, as it still had third-person map existing. Delete it, and it feels like our project is now cleaned up. If you're using a repository, this is where you should do the initial commit.